Welcome back to another episode of Learning with Leibowitz. This episode is about argumentative writing. It's an introduction to some of the terms and the overall idea of the parts that go into any sort of argument writing or debate. So, first of all, what is argumentative writing? Argumentative writing is a genre or a type of writing in which students investigate a topic, collect evidence on the topic, and develop or take a position on the topic using sound reasoning, explanation, and strong word choice. Now, for some of the key vocab that you are going to need to know. The first term is argument. And we're not talking about having an argument with your friend about your favorite TV show or something. An argument is a style of writing in which the authors, in this case, you, openly voice their opinions and dispute their respective opponents' claims and viewpoints. So you're both sharing your side of the topic and arguing against the other side of the topic. And an argument is really just the overall idea. So, for example, an argument might be cell phones should or should not be allowed in schools. When you're creating your argument, you need to make a claim. The claim is the statement that something is true, even though there's no proof yet. Essentially, this is what states the side that you are going to report. Think of this as your stance for your argument. Really, this is your thesis statement. This is where you state the claim that you are going to be proving throughout your writing or your debate. An example, cell phones should not be allowed in schools. That's the claim that's going to be supported here. Then there is a counterclaim. A counterclaim shows or acknowledges the opposite opinion or stance. The counterclaim will always disagree with your or the author's claim. The counterclaim disagrees with the thesis statement and shows the other side of the argument. For example, cell phone should be allowed in schools. The next term that you need to know is reason. A reason helps to show why you support the claim that you are making. It becomes a topic sentence for a body paragraph, and it supports your thesis statement. An example of a reason for our sample topic: cell phones should not be allowed in schools because they can create a distraction to students. So, distraction is the reason. So, if the topic is whether or not cell phones should be allowed in schools, we have a claim and reason. The claim is cell phones should not be allowed in schools, and the reason is because they can create a distraction to students. Then a counterclaim: cell phones should be allowed in schools because in the event of an emergency, students might need to contact their parents or guardians. Claim and counterclaim. What is one more reason? Stop and think about this. One more reason that cell phones should not be allowed in schools. What is one more reason as to why cell phones should be allowed in schools? Here's a debatable topic, a topic for an argument. Pineapple belongs on pizza. Here is a claim plus a reason, coming from me. Pineapples belong on pizza because they taste amazing, especially with ham or olives. Now you come up with a counterclaim to this. My claim is that pineapples belong on pizza. What is the counterclaim? What is the other side of that argument? Now, Any argument you are going to try to make is not going to be a strong argument if it's based solely on opinion. You need some sort of evidence to support the claim that you're making. So let's talk just briefly about evidence. Relevant evidence is provided to support a claim and its reason. So if my claim and reason is cell phones should not be allowed in schools because they can become a distraction to students, here's an example of some evidence you could use. For instance, an April 2010 study done by the University of Michigan found that in classrooms where students were allowed to use their phones, 71% of them either sent or received a text message during class. As you can see, this piece of evidence very clearly shows a distraction. If 71% of students are sending and receiving text messages, they're distracted from the learning that is supposed to be going on. A claim is made more valid. Valid means true or believable if the text evidence and reasoning are better. So the stronger the text evidence and reasoning, the more valid the claim is. A good argument and a good claim can be used describe with these adjectives: valid, sound, and credible. So, you start with an argument. For each argument, you want to have claims and reasons, and you want to have multiple claims and reasons that support your argument. You do also want to identify any counterclaims. Although you won't be talking too much about the counterclaims in your argument, you do need to recognize them. You do need to realize that they are there and mention them in your writing. We'll talk more about that as you get farther into your argument writing and debate preparation. Now we are going to start. You're not going to look for iReady. Lucky you.